As the founders of Surefoot, Bob and Russ Shea are obsessed with creating the perfect ski boot for you because they know that a properly fitted custom ski boot will make you a better skier, whatever level you're at. Surefoot, better fitting, better skiing.
Hey, Derek, how's it going, man?
Whew, we are having a time here in Georgia. Let me tell you, it's been a roller coaster.
Yeah. So yes, we've chatted a little bit about it, but I'm really excited for you to share what's going on with all of our Freeride fans. So welcome back, everybody, to the Freeride Guide, the only place where you're going to get the full-on analysis, commentary, behind-the-scenes, insider information about the Freeride World Tour. Not only the events, but in an episode like this one, where we're going to give you the update and let you know what the heck is going on with the Freeride World Tour. My name's Mark Warner. I'm here with my partner in crime and the FWT broadcast announcer,
Derek Foose. And yeah, we got a lot to catch up on, Mark. It's been a wild ride. But we're ticking away. We're chipping away at it, trying to get a good comp done here in Georgia.
Fantastic. Before we get to that, the reason we're able to do this is because of great sponsors. Surefoot is the place that you need to go to get a fully custom ski boot, custom footbeds, or otherwise known as custom orthotics, custom liners, anything that you've got going on. Maybe you got a sixth toe, like my good friend that I skied with today. Oh, you do too? If you got a sixth toe, or maybe you've got a little narrow heel like myself, or any host of things. Like, there are so many issues with people's feet, and ski boots are tough, but not if you go to Surefoot. With 29 shops around the world, there's a good chance there's one near you. So I highly suggest your next ski boot purchase, or if you want to soup up those boots, say with some heated custom liners or some custom orthotics, or maybe you just need a little bit of a punch. Surefoot is the place to go.
The heated liners are coming in clutch for the Freeride World Tour this year. Kicking Horse minus 25 on comp day. It has not been warmer than minus 23 in Georgia, so the heated liners are absolute godsend for me right now. I would not have feet left without them.
It's that cold there too.
Oh yeah, it's been vicious.
It was 8 degrees here today, Derek. Just to let you know.
That sounds lovely.
So yeah, thank you to Surefoot Skiing, custom ski boots, for sponsoring the Freeride Guide. If you are an athlete on the Challenger or the Qualifier or the Junior Tour, or even on the Freeride World Tour, even if you're not an athlete, I suggest everybody go get their boots dialed in at Surefoot. So let's get to it. So as we mentioned before, and is something that I really enjoy, is all the people who are traveling to Georgia showing us the timers.
Yeah.
on their iPhones, that when they arrived, I saw one that was, I think yours was what, 42 hours?
42 hours and 58 minutes.
I saw one for 40 hours. I saw one that was 32 hours. But it was Marielle Thompson, who is a Canadian skier cross racer.
Yeah, she was 32 to Tbilisi.
Yeah, so I said, "Oh, are you going?" She's like, "Where's that?" And I told them, I said that the FWT was going on. She's like, "Oh, that's cool. Where is it?" And I said, "To where?" She goes, "Oh, that's like an 8-hour drive away."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was messaging with Marielle because we were both coming here, but where they are is way, way closer to Tbilisi at another resort. So yeah, slightly shorter trip. Ross was over 50 hours.
Ross Tester.
And Ben Richards was like 3.5 days. He missed every single connection. His trip just shattered, absolutely shattered. The only connection that worked was Kamloops to Vancouver. And then everything else, Vancouver flight was delayed. Then he missed everything, went all over the world, came here, no luggage. So it is, it's gorgeous here, but it is a tough place to get to for sure.
Right. The hidden gem.
No, so hidden.
All right. So let's give people a little information about this episode. So as you may have noticed, we had some issues with the face the other day. So we're going to walk you through the steps that brought us to here. So currently the competition is on hold. They had a face, and then they chose a new face, and then that face slid during I guess face check avalanche during avalanche safety.
Yep.
Deemed it unsafe to compete on. and then now you're kind of sitting in the hotel, hoping the power stays on while it's storming outside. So you have a couple days to wait. So that's the quick summary. We're going to get into all those details here. So first all, Georgia. It's in a town of it's an alpine resort called Tetnoldy. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Tetnoldy.
So reading here, the official release here. Tetnoldy, which offers 900 vertical meters of lift access skiing, topping out at over 3,100 meters. So it's high.
It is.
Yeah. How's the breathing?
It's tricky up there. In the first, second, I don't know, whatever the comp face that we were going to use was 3,400 meters at the top. So yeah, definitely the sea level kids are struggling up here. It's definitely high, which is good for the snow. But yeah, Tetnoldy, the actual Mount Tetnoldy sits right behind the resort, and it's over 5,000 meters. So it just like looms over everything.
Wow.
Yeah, it's huge. The Caucasus Mountains are just absolutely enormous.
Right on. And it's right near the town of Mestia. So the little village, is it like a little village that you're in that's not a lot going on?
Yeah, it's pretty lively. It's a small town. It's about a 45-minute drive up to the ski hill each morning, up like a toboggan track. It feels like every one of the shuttles is pretty much is a Mitsubishi like 4x4 van, and they just rally up this road like, you know, wheel deep ice ruts in a huge convoy every single morning up and every single afternoon down. The drivers are just weapons behind the wheel. You know, they're in these in these vans just rallying up there.
So no grader, no machines, just
yeah, no, it's like
the pothole parking lot up at Lot 8 in Whistler here, where you're just like bouncing around but the entire way.
Just full ice or snow. And yeah, so even just getting to the ski hill, to and from the ski hill each day is like a full adventure.
Just straight up Eastern Europe, Eastern European backcountry roads. Hey, I love it. Okay. So you got into town, and they were looking at the weather, and I believe the original plan was to be in the Kakani face, which was the one that they rode on last year. And last year was an amazing competition. Like that was in POW. It was so fun to watch. I really enjoyed that. Probably one of my favorites of last year. So they wanted to do it on that same face. And they were going to host the event D-1, which means the first day of the weather window would be the day before.
Exactly. Yeah. So this was a logistical challenge right from the get-go because of the weather. So D-1 looked like it was going to be clear. It hadn't been clear the entire time the operations team had been here. They were there 4 or 5 days before us. They hadn't had a clear day. And it looked like D-1, which was Saturday, was going to be clear. So the goal was to try to run it there, but there's a bunch of pieces of the puzzle that were going to be really difficult. First of all, doing avalanche control in the face. On the Kashiani face, there's the actual competition face, but there's a huge south-facing slope just behind it that avalanches on that would affect the finish area, the judges' position, the broadcast setup, all of it. So that all had to be controlled beforehand, and they had zero clear weather to do anything. So no finish was set up, no production stuff was set up. All that stuff was sitting in the nets down here in town, waiting to be helied up to the venue. So then when it was like, all right, well, tomorrow's going to be clear, we're going to go for it, they kind of realized that there was no way that they could do all the control work, then set up all the equipment, and then run what realistically is a 4+ hour event in the weather window. So on the, I guess what was D-2, they saw this other face while they were up there in the kind of storm, because it sort of broke up in the afternoon, and they're like, oh, maybe we could do it there. It's a little bit closer. It doesn't have all the secondary exposure to avalanche risk. So that's what prompted the switch to the Kaseb face, which was like a super last minute, audible call of like, oh, okay, everything's switching, and we're going to do it here. Cause the riders hadn't even seen the face, cause the face check area is totally in the impact zone for any avalanches. So nobody had even seen the Kashani yet. So it was,
and then basically they're just scrambling because they wanted to be able to hold it on that specific day, because that looks like really the only day where you're going to get a window to hold a competition.
exactly.
So like we got to do something now.
Yeah, because even like the forecast through the end of the weather window was all not great.
Still is?
Well, we'll get to that. We have many things that happen.
One thing at a time. Yeah.
Yeah. So they made the call that they were going to switch, and the plan was we would go up in the morning. They would get the helis in the air. They would fly the equipment into place, because this one doesn't have the equipment in the avalanche areas. So fly the equipment. Then the production team and the ops team could get going on setting everything up, and then they could take the heli back down, put the the avalanche control equipment on, fly it up, and control the face. While that was happening, the riders could be standing on the ridgetop doing their inspection, and then we would be ready to go for competition by 2 p.m. We have light until around 6. And this thing was west facing, so for this it would have been kind of perfect. The face was smaller than ideal, like in height and in number of features, but it was possible just to do all of those things, to get the entire thing set up, to control the face, to give the riders the time to check the face, and then to actually get them up there, because it was about an hour and a half boot pack
at elevation
at 3,400 meters. So we got going. The first ops team members left the hotel at 4 a.m. to start the huge preparation. By the time we got up there at like 7:30, they had flown most of the gear to the finish, all of the gear to the production area, which was like right at the top of the last chair, and we're kind of looking like this might work. And the weather was gorgeous. It was freezing. It was like minus 25, I think, but perfect sun. So we got the ops team working on the finish. We got the production team working on the tents and the satellites and, our commentary setup and all that. Judge's position is in. Riders are all up there looking at the face. They're picking lines. It's all going well. And then they get the heli in the air to do avalanche control. And it's a big cirque, right? A big curving cirque, which the looker's right-hand side is the actual competition face. So the first, say, 5 bombs did nothing. And now the mood's coming up, because the riders, they've had some time. They're looking at the face. They're picking lines. They're on board. Okay, fuck, this is going to happen. And then he gets into the central face and drops one at the top, and the thing goes off, and the fracture goes uphill and downhill, steps down to another layer, and just strips the whole central couloir of that face. And then he moves over 15, 20 meters, does another one, same thing. Big avalanche, just absolutely stripped. So all the riders are looking at this going, well, my line's gone. There was a few people who were looking more over lookers right, but the bulk of the action on that face was right down the middle.
All right, like I gotta ask you some questions about this. So there's a lot to unpack here. So that's a lot. So basically, overnight, they've done it before. We've seen it happen. 2018 in Kicking Horse. They, in the same kind of temperatures, they went, and that was the first time they had been at that venue as well in Kicking Horse. Mm-hmm. First time they were there, they held it on ozone. They picked everything up, moved it one ridge over, boom, and then did it minus 20, 30. The very next day, they had a different comp, the replay of the Hakuba event on a different face. Like, so they can do it. They've proven they can do it. So they were getting things going. It's a bit rushed. I heard that the riders, when this stuff happens and the riders don't have the full story of what's actually happening, because a lot of times decisions that are made in these situations are really fluid, right? Oh, yeah. Decisions are being made by the minute, right? And they're not necessarily able to be, communicated to, I guess, the riders at that same pace. It's just impossible. So I had heard through some of the riders that they're like kind of getting a little bit concerned, unsure.
There was revolution in the air. Because there's like a riders WhatsApp group, and they just popped a photo of the new face with a caption that said "new face for tomorrow." and the riders were freaking out. So they had their own meeting with none of the FWT sort of management people before the riders meeting to be like, this is crazy. This is bullshit. Like, it's D-1. Some people aren't even in town yet.
Yeah.
The issue was communication. Once we got to the riders meeting, and we went into that riders meeting like with a bag of popcorn ready for just like absolute fireworks,
Yeah. Because I'm just here to talk about it.
100%. Yeah. And then when Lolo and Berti presented the entire picture to the riders, everyone was like, oh yeah, okay. And they were like, but what about, next Friday or Saturday? Like, it looks like it might be okay. And they said, yeah, it looks like that, but there's a 20% chance of that being clear. It shows clear. Like, you're looking at an internet forecast where the tour is using a weather guru who is looking at every model, putting them all together and coming up with percent chances that it will be X, Y, or Z.
Right.
So they were like, it's 20% chance that it's clear next Friday. So we have to try. Like, this may or may not work, but we got to try. And please also, this is them to the riders, like, recognize that this isn't easy for us. This isn't what we want to do, but what we all want is to have a comp at all. So if this is our only shot, then at the very least we have to give it a go. And it was great. Everyone came out of that meeting being like, all right, yeah, let's get our heads, into this. So the revolt was calmed a bit.
Yeah.
And everybody got on board.
So
it was,
so that's
like
good.
You said, it was just the communication,
right?
the timing
of
it, because it's so fluid.
Yeah, and they're like, well, what's going on? Like, are we riding? Are we not riding? What? There's a new face, and then it's easy to get spun out of control. With it's easy to get in your own head and be like, just spin out when you don't have the proper information. So that's good to hear. So we know we spoke about this. I don't know if it was on the podcast or after, but competition day is a 5-hour, almost a minimum of 5-hour endeavor. They wanted to start the comp at 2, which would have meant riders would go face check that morning and then comp at 2 and then try to get done before it gets dark. Like, it's like here, I don't like do you know what the latitude is there?
I don't, but they were up there. Lolo and those guys were up on the mountain until almost 7 the night before. And they said there was full light on the face at 5:30. And what the many plans, was that, first of all, this face is way shorter, like almost sub 300 meters. So they thought they could get it done in 3.5. And then the other piece of that was there was a very small window of clear weather on Sunday morning. So the secondary plan B was maybe we just run snowboard men and women on Saturday and run all the skiers in the small window on Sunday morning if we can't get finished.
Okay, because that's what I was going to ask you about, is then knowing that there's a high chance of it getting dark and not being able to finish a category. How do you organize the categories? I think they have for this one, snowboard men, snowboard women, ski women, and then ski men. And I was thinking, I'm like, well, if it's the biggest category, if they end up starting it and not being able to finish it, is that a big deal? Like, for me, it would be like, I would want to make sure we can at least get 2 completely finished, as you mentioned, or 3 completely finished. But to have, like, this is all just a big, a big mess of trying to figure out how things work. It's just a giant puzzle that you don't have a picture for.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it would be like, well, I wouldn't want to do ski men because there's like 20 something ski men.
Yeah. 22.
And if you only get through half, well, then
you got to rerun them.
And then you can't. And then if you can't run them the other half the next day, at least that way you have like those full set components for each category done and dusted.
Yeah.
So were they considering changing that around based on
that's why they did it in the order they did it in, because they figured they would have at least enough time to finish both snowboard categories. And then, if things are going smooth and we got lots of light, then we could start ski women, but ski men needs the biggest chunk of time. And the time was the biggest question mark in all of this. As you said, starting at 2:00, like, you're racing against light, you're racing against clouds, all of it. At least with the face being pretty much facing directly west, you've got the latest light you could get if it stayed clear.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were just so many factors that they were considering, and so many secondary and third and fourth plans for if then. And then the whole face slid on avalanche control. And
so let me ask you this. So is that happening while all the riders are sitting there watching, picking their lines?
Yep.
So kind of like in Bakira a couple years ago.
Yeah.
When Larry ruined the face. Larry Goche, inside joke for those of you who are longtime listeners. But the Forerunner went and cut the face, and it slid out. So they're watching this new face that they, like you said, they left the meeting the night before feeling better about it, and then they get there in the morning, and then this happens, and they're like, "Come on!" Like, was some of the questions in? I want to go back to the meeting really quick. Was some of the questions within the meeting about safety, about that snowpack, about knowledge
absolutely.
of that face? Yeah,
because everybody knew that it was volatile, that the snowpack was volatile. So the avalanche control was absolutely number one thing on everybody's minds, and so they were able to sort of, I guess, double up the tasks with doing avalanche control while the riders are doing face check, and that way, if something slid small and maybe took the landing or the takeoff of a feature out, the riders would know because they were watching while it happened. And call it unfortunately, fortunately, from a safety perspective, it slid quite a bit bigger than was hoped, but also like way better to have it go during bombing and then just know than you miss a key target area or whatever with your bombing, and then it slides with a rider on the face. So
does the FWT do most of that control work themselves with the assistance of the resort, or is it the resort doing it with the FWT? Like,
it's a combined effort. It's a combined effort because the local mountain guides and ski patrol know the start zones, right? So they know where to put the shots to produce results if results are available for avalanche control.
So follow-up question: have they had a competition on that face before? And another follow-up question. So you said no, it hasn't been done on that face.
Nope.
Is that within in bounds of the resort, or has it been skied? Do they control that spot?
It's been skied. It's a super popular area to ski. Larry and Michelle Manning and I actually skied it the year before. We did the same boot pack that after the comp when we had a few days before we left for Fieberbrunn. It's essentially you go to the top of the very top lift and then ski across and a little bit down, and then boot pack straight up it. So it's not in the resort, but it's like very, very close access backcountry.
Cool.
So it's right there, and it's super popular to ski, but it hasn't had a competition on it before.
Another question: were Forerunners up there ready to go? Like as soon as the control work was done?
The Forerunners were at the face check area with all of us and all the riders and everybody, and so they were ready to go, but they were going to get helied up after avalanche control, and it was honestly, it was pretty funny. So they did the bombing. 90% of the face slid. And then we grouped in for a little team meeting to find out. And, the prevailing thought was like, okay, this is not happening. And they said, okay, we're going to get a couple of guides and a couple of Forerunners to go up and ski and see if it's okay. And everyone was like, what? Like, are you kidding? We can tell you from here it's not okay. So they loaded a few people in the heli. They flew up. We watched them fly across the face up to the summit, loop around, and come right back to us. The whole flight was maybe 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. And as we saw, they never even landed. So as we saw them coming back down, everyone was like, all right, well, now we really know what's going on. So they hopped out of the heli and said, we didn't even need to put skis on to know that is a no-go. So, I mean, they were doing their due diligence there, which caused a few of the riders to kind of panic because they're like, are we still thinking about doing this? And then, they just wanted to check every box before they called a no-go, because that's, leads us to where we're at now, which is a waiting game for a weather window that's a huge maybe.
Right. I saw on somebody's Instagram account of the flyover and everybody going, whoa, the helicopter. Okay, so that's a lot to process. So here's the official statement with the Kaseb. How do you pronounce it?
Yeah, Kaseb.
With the Kaseb no longer an option, FWT organizers are working to identify a new competition face that meets both safety and performance standards, in bold. Once a suitable venue is confirmed, the competition date will be announced 2 days in advance. So that was released. Now it seems as though they're going back to the original face. That's the plan.
So we had this small window on Sunday, which was like the maybe we could finish anything we didn't get done on Saturday if that had all gone well. So they used that window to do avalanche control on the entire Kashani face and the big mountain that's the secondary exposure, and then fly all the gear that they had already set up and then unset up at the other face over once that was clear, and then bring all the riders up and do face check on that one. So they were able to look from the top and from the bottom. And again, minus 25. It was too cold for the top lift to run. So we got skidoo bumps up the entire top chair. So that took forever, right? 3 at a time, like 2 on ropes and 1 sitting on the back of the sled times 60 riders and however many staff.
1 snowmobile from like
no, there were 2.
Yeah, two snowmobiles are like 2005.
But it was pretty cowboy. The whole thing was definitely wild.
Sounds like an adventure.
Yeah, and then we were able to, because that area had been secured, and they bombed the heck out of it. Like they right at, once bitten, twice shy. But the Kashani face is quite a bit different. That Kaseb one, it's just long, open couloirs and pieces, where the Kashani one, if you remember from the comp last year, is a lot of different direction. Yeah, there's a lot of nooks and crannies in it. So no big results. They had some surface slough, but no slab avalanches at all. We skied down from the top of the chair, the skidoo drop, beside the face, and it was crazy deep, like knee to mid thigh deep. But also because it's so cold, the snow is like Velcro. It's super grippy. So everyone was skiing down there, and like if you got a fresh line, it was. I guess for us, maybe from the coast who are used to skiing in sticky snow, like we were like, oh, that was sick. Yeah. And then other people were like, I like crashed 6 times. But anyway, we got to the bottom. We had time to face check, and then the clouds came in, and the whole place went white. So the riders have seen it. They had drones in the air. They got a ton of high def photos and drone shots. And they did get to scope it live before that weather completely shut down. It was probably like 11:30, maybe noon when it milked out. So looking back at what might have been the plan, we would have had to start so early on Sunday to try to get anything or to make anything happen. Maybe we could have finished ski men on that little face, but so now it's storming.
Yeah. So do you think the face is going to be different?
Well, the forecast is only for about 20 centimeters in the next couple of days, but just like thick clouds. So even when it's not snowing, there's no way you could compete. Right. But because they've bombed the hell out of it, this new snow should be, it'll bond, and they'll do some ski cuts after, but it's not going to snow enough to, hopefully, obviously this is all very fluid, but it shouldn't snow enough to present a new avalanche hazard on the face. So they'll do ski cuts, but the idea is maybe if the weather pans out that we can get up there first thing Friday morning.
Friday's kind of what you're hoping for.
Yeah, again, it's super fluid.
Today is actually Sunday, so we were supposed to do the comp yesterday. Well, I guess it's Monday for you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sunday night for you. Monday.
So
morning.
12-hour difference from Whistler to be. I love that because it's so easy to do the change. Yeah. I'm like, oh, sweet, it's 10 at night there. Oh my God, let's figure out how we can chat with each other. So that's a lot. That's a lot. So, and they said they'll announce it D-2. So they're hopefully going to do it, 2 days in advance. And we know that they want to make sure, like, number one is getting a good comp at the right time. Secondary is like a comp on the right day at the right time. That's their ultimate goal. Safety first, tied into, there's weather, we got to get it done now. That's why they're so good at doing this so quickly, because they have no choice. When the opportunity presents itself, they've got to go.
Yep.
So and I know they love those events where you can just get it done, and then in and out, boom, boom, boom. But then there's events like in Val Thorens and then here where looks like you're going to be sitting around for a week.
Yeah, I mean, like everybody wants to go. I think from the riders' perspective, and I'll say especially the North American riders, having these extra days is 100% better because the jet lag is out of control. When you travel for 40 plus hours, your body is ruined. You know, your legs don't work right, your brain's foggy. People are having like crazy dreams. You're waking up at like midnight.
Well, because like I said, like 10 o'clock is 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
It's just the
yeah.
completely opposite.
So having an extra, block of days to just get used to where you are for your soul to catch up with your body, uh, I think is going to be useful for everybody to ski and ride to their actual potential instead of just being like shells. Um, I mean, Ben Richards, again, I talked about him before. He showed up at the hotel at 3 a.m. on comp day. That's when he finally got there. So he got to the hotel, got checked in, was in bed by 4, was up at 7 to go up and compete. He, more than anybody, was pretty grateful that comp didn't run. And now there's a chance for his luggage to catch up with him, for his body to adjust to this massive shift of moving from Revelstoke to Mestia, Georgia. So I think there is a silver lining in this for a lot of the athletes, that they're going to be much better served, like physically and mentally, to compete later in the window. When I mean, like you said, it's good if we can get it done early, but this one maybe more than any other one because it's so remote, and it's so, even for the Europeans, it's a grind to get here, but for the North Americans, it's insane.
Yeah.
So
And you know what? It's better for us too, the audience, for us watching, when all the athletes are ready to go.
Yes,
At
absolutely.
100% fired up, like
Yep.
rested, strong, confident. That's what we want, is those athletes that are in that state of mind, so we can get a show.
Yeah, the best competition we can have, and they all want to ride to their full potential. And now we get the good face, which we saw last year deliver one of the best FWT comps, in recent history, if not ever. So there's definitely a lot of pluses. I for sure feel for the tour staff who set everything up and then immediately were told to take it down and move it again. That was.
I wonder what the Georgian version of like a pizza party is. Hey
Yeah.
guys.
I think it's beer. It's beer. It's beer and cha-cha. But now everybody gets a little rest. They all get to catch up and get some sleep and actually, make a plan, because it would have worked, but it would have been loose. Just like, even speaking for myself and Hadley, like going up that morning, the day after we arrived and traveled for that long, for sure was the least prepared I've been to do a broadcast. And the athletes were feeling the same, and the staff and everybody was feeling the same. Like, yeah, it'll work, but it's going to be loose. So now, it'll be,
now everybody gets
much
to
more
sleep
solid.
in a little bit, have a few meals, go and ski and figure out what the snow's like in the area, and just go pet a bunch of dogs.
Yeah, and cows.
Yeah, so that's cool. They can experience kind of the culture a little bit more, and that's like, when I go do things like that, like when I was traveling with her, I loved it when you were able to hang out for a few days, just to experience everything, gather it in. I know a lot of those riders have been on this tour for a long time, and sometimes they like to just get in and out, or like, hey, we're nearby, let's go do something else. But
nobody wants to come to Georgia for 2 days.
Yeah, fair enough. So there's a guy that doesn't have to travel very far, and he's the wild card for this event. Jabba Shvediani. So he is a local Georgian. He was on the competition last year. Men's snowboard. He was on the competition last year. Unfortunately, crashed a couple times. But he has been announced as a wild card once again. And I love how the FWT really likes to choose like a local or someone that's close by.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, man. He's like so plugged in with the freeride scene here, which is small but passionate. And I was chatting with him yesterday, and he's like, "I love all extreme sports. I do paragliding and mountain climbing and kayaking, anything that's adrenaline fueled. He's into it. So he's so fired up, and he's like just so pumped to be with this crew. You know,
Mhm.
he's out there riding with Victor de la Rue, and just having the time of his life and getting to show people around his backyard. And you know, the gorgeous, like, the riding here is spectacular, and the snow's good. I mean, it's cold, but it's nice. So
Mhm.
yeah, stoked to have Jabba in the mix, and he's just like such a frother. So
I bet you
he's super
those
fun.
guys are stoked too, because they've got a tour guide.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can just show you all the goods. Like, anytime you got a local to ride with at at a big mountain area, it's just immediately better.
Yeah, absolutely. Some more news. We have an injury report. Edvin Olsen is out for the remainder of the tour.
Yeah, I'm so sad for Edvin, and also, I don't know if impressed is the right word, but he
Yes.
he hurt himself in Val Thorens.
Yeah.
He then went to Kicking Horse and competed, and was complaining about how his leg was sore the whole time, and then went back home after Kicking Horse and it was still hurting. So he finally went and got an MRI. His leg is broken.
Yeah.
He's a
he's had a
fractured leg, and he competed in Kicking Horse and skied that whole time in Canada and after Valto on a broken leg, and then finally got it actually, diagnosed, and was like, oh, that's why it hurts. So yeah.
Unbelievable. I saw his post today. Fortunately, no real ligament issues or anything like that. But what a animal!
Yeah. Seriously.
what an absolute animal! Like he just skiing in itself is a lot, right?
Yeah.
Skiing on the Freeride World Tour is a lot. Skiing on the Freeride World Tour with a broken leg is insane.
Yeah, that's insane. So yeah, I mean, props to Edvin for being a monster, but I'm glad he did figure it out and didn't just keep banging away at it.
Like, he finished 14th out of 21 last week.
Yeah, on a broken leg.
Yeah, so basically middle of the pack on a broken leg. Kudos to you, Edvin. I'm looking forward. If they don't give that guy an injury wild card next year, I quit. You want dudes like that? Like, that's wild. Like, I can't even comprehend. Like, what a there's that movie that's coming out where the guy doesn't feel pain. I wonder.
Well, I think he was feeling it. He was feeling it enough to be like, what is going on inside my body? But yeah, he's definitely he's a tough man. They make him tough in Sweden.
All right. Well, that's kind of the update for the Georgia Pro. Thanks for taking the time to, connect with me here and just give everybody kind of a little info of what's going on. We love the behind the scenes content and info from you. Before we go, I want to talk about the second Challenger event was held. So this year is a little bit different. I think we mentioned it at the beginning of the season here. Region 2, North America, still has the 3 Challenger events. So I'll just do a quick summary. The cut this year is an event later, so it's after FIBA Run instead of before. So basically, the cut is 5 events, and then everybody who makes the cut gets to go to the final.
Yeah, and they bumped the cut to 60% of the field instead of 50.
There you go. So I like that a little better. You just compete through the whole season, and then you get the finals instead of competing through 2/3 of it. So if you don't make the cut, you get knocked back down. You can do the Challenger Tour. North America Region 2 has 3: Crested Butte, Silverton, and Kirkwood. And then in Region 1, it's a little different. They've actually created almost a full season of events this year. 6 of them, if I'm not mistaken, or is there 5?
Yeah, there's supposed to be 6. I think they already lost 1 to weather, so maybe it's down to 5. Maybe they'll be able to restage it. But yeah, it's quite a shift. For better or for worse, hard to know. I think for the cut tour riders, the system in Region 2 is way better because they get the opportunity to still get back on, to go up against the best of the qualifier riders. Whereas the Region 1 riders, they're looking at a year, like a full year and a bit from getting cut to getting back on. So it is what it is. You know, Region 1 did it because they were having a hard time getting good snow conditions at the end of the season.
That's right. Actually, I didn't think about that. They were, because it gets hot over there. It really gets tough. But I like the fact that they have this full on mini tour. Because it's exciting for people that are into Freeride, and they put so much into it over there that like people are actually invested in it. There's money for it. Like, this is a challenger tour. That's not the Freeride World Tour, but if you rocked up to it, you didn't know what to expect. You'd be like, oh, okay, this is the pinnacle, right?
Yeah, it's definitely it's high level riding for sure.
And and the production value, there's a broadcast. It's all the same kind of the same, bells and whistles are put towards the challenger as they are the FWT for that Region 1. So the first event was the Bonneville Waters Evolution 2 La Rosière.
La Rosière.
La Rosière. FW. There's a lot of words there. The Rosière FWT Challenger, and that's France, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, I think that one just slipped past my awareness. They did have another one yesterday. The second event in Silvretta Montafon in Austria. I think that's Max Hitzig's home resort currently.
It sure is.
And it was pretty wild, man. I watched a lot of the replay today, and we're bringing this up because we want to we're not going to go and do a full dive deep as we do with the FWT recaps. But I think it'd be cool to kind of just summarize a lot of the challengers when we get the chance this season, so that you listening can start to get familiar with those names and know what they've done to get onto the tour for next year. So the event results for ski men, all Swiss riders, Paul Denton, Paul de Portales, and Victor Hale Woods. Hale Woods, he is the son of the president of the FWT, Nico Hale Woods. So that's pretty cool. All those guys did big backflips. I guess
you kind of have to.
And that's what I was going to say. It's like it's almost mandatory now. In order to podium or do anything, you got to flip. You got to go upside down.
Yeah,
and that's not even
flips and spins, and
not even FWT. It's the Challenger Tour as well. The overall standings, all three of those guys are in the top three. They just 1 and 2 just swapped. For ski women, this was fun to watch. Lou Barin from France. Huge double, hit 2 360s in her run, which is really, really impressive. Zoe Del Zoppo, 19 years old. Another big double, skied really fast. And Eva Botola came in third. For snowboard men, Cesar Baran. And then we have Hugo Serra, former FWT rider, came in second. And then Sasha Balico. And then for snowboard women, familiar name, Tiffany Periton, former Freeride World Tour champion, topped the list. And then Sarah Bacher and Brianni Johnson is an Australian rider who we don't get a lot of. I saw the flag and wrote NZ, but then looked at it closer again and went, oh, actually, that's the Australian
wrong amount of stars.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, I don't really expect you folks to really know what we're talking about, because it's the FWT is one thing, and then the minor leagues, I guess, for lack of a better term, the Challenger is another. There's so many riders, so we just want to kind of say their names, say, hey, this is who they are, in hopes of, like I said, familiarizing yourself with them. Because when we do our athletes and wildcards and rookies episode early next year, you may already have a bit of knowledge about who they are, and so will we. Sometimes it's hard to go into that episode and then not knowing really a thing. I rely heavily on you because you know them through like juniors as they've come up. Question for you: if I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, but looking at the score points, the total points for ski men, top spot's 3,500, second spot's 3,200, third spot's 2,930. For the other categories, top is 35, but then it drops to 3,150 and then 2,835. Why are they lower?
I think because there's less people in the field, so it spreads them out a bit more. That's a great question. I feel like that's something I should know. But yeah, I think it's just because the smaller fields, the bigger point spread on a large field will result likely after 6 events in less ties.
Fair enough. That's a good. It's a pretty good answer. I'll accept it. I'll accept it as fact. So there are 4 more results. Or sorry, pardon me. 4 more events for the Region 1 challengers. They've got March 1st to the 4th, the Nanda Freeride World Tour Challenger, and that's the following week. The Monterosa Freeride Paradise FWT Challenger by Orage. So many words. That's in Italy. The next one is late March 15th or mid-March 15th to the 18th, the 2025 X Override Kitzstein Horn Zell MC Capra and FWT Challenger by Orage. And easy for me to say.
Let me tell you, I'm glad not to have to be the announcer at one of those events.
Right,
I have
right.
to say that every time.
Ellie Buff, Ellie Waga has been doing the announcing. She's been doing a great job. I don't know what the other guy's name is, but I should find out because they're good together. They really work well together. It's fun hearing them. And then finally, the 2025 Open Faces Obertauern FWT Challenger by Orage, and that is at the end of March. So there's 4 events, basically 1 week through March. So that's a lot.
Yeah, they're going to be busy.
Yeah, that's a lot of travel for them as well. And it's different because it is the minor leagues. There's so much more that you have to put in order to do these. Financially, they have to find your own hotels. You have to get your own travel. Like you really have to want it in order to get there. And then once you get it, you better hold on to it. So that's the Region 1 challengers. Region 2 challengers. All right. So I just realized I was reading the events for Region 2 from last year. So what I've been led to believe is I think Kirkwood is going to be an event again. I was there doing the broadcast. I believe A Basin is on tap. And then there's a third, which has yet to be announced that they're currently working on.
Exactly. Yeah, you got it. So after the cut in Fieberbrunn, any Region 2 cut riders will head back to North America, hit up the Challenger Series there, and then we'll know who our Region 2 2026 FWT riders are.
There we go. So Fieberbrunn is the 8th to the 13th of March. So we should expect those events kind of late March, first week April kind of thing?
Yeah, probably 2 in March, 1 in April.
Right on. Cool. Well, thanks, Derek. We said to each other it'd probably be 15, 20 minutes. We're pushing an hour right now. So thanks. I'll let you get, I guess it's cloudy. And are you going to go skiing today?
We're going to go make some Georgian hats. They've got a hat making.
Awesome.
They've got a traditional hat making class. So we're going to go make hats today. And they were the same hats that they gave as trophies to the winners last year. So
no way.
Yeah, Marcus has a cool one. We'll see if we can make one as good.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah. You need to spend a bit of time there to really gather in all the culture, really experience the place. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this hat of yours. And I know our heads are about the same size, so I'm looking forward to trying it on too. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for Surefoot, custom ski boots, custom orthotics, and custom liners for making my feet feel really good when I'm on the hill, and supporting the Freeride Guide and Freeride in general. If you want to talk to us, if we said something that it intrigues you, if we blew a point, send us an email, backslap@freerideguidepodcast.com, and we just might read your email on the air. The next time you'll hear us is going to be the recap for the Georgia Pro event. This was just the update to let you know what the heck was going on. Fingers crossed that we're going to be able to have an event. Everybody's working hard, as you've heard. So I'd say the chances are good. Come on, Mother Nature.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
All right. Enjoy your hat making, and we'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
This has been a Redmark Media production.